What were you about to say?
I just wanted to make sure you were recording.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely recording. I hit those record buttons pretty quick. Wait, that's not hot coffee in a red Solo cup, is it?
No, that's cold brew.
Oh, all right. I didn't know you actually drink cold brew coffee.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I went to down the block. Mom and I had breakfast this morning, and
Oh, nice.
downtown, and then down the block from the little cafe, country cafe. There's a little what do they call it? Like a coffee shop. So they had cold brew, so I got. It's really good too. It's not concentrate, but it's really good.
Huh. 'Cause I've done cold brew where you actually grind the beans, you put it into, I can't remember, a French press, that's what it is. And you
Yes.
throw it in the refrigerator and you let it sit for a day or two, and then you you squeeze out all the loose beans, and then you're left with coffee flavored water. I've done that before, but what I do is I take about a shot's worth of that cold brew coffee, put it in a cup, and then put water on top, and then I throw it in the microwave for like a minute and 10 seconds or something, and I still drink it hot.
Oh no, I drink it cold. I like it cold.
See, I'm weird, I guess, because everybody likes the taste of cold coffee, and I love coffee, but I cannot do it cold.
Oh, it's actually pretty good. It's very smooth. It's no bitter taste or anything to it, which is pretty good because I've gone to a lot of coffee shops in the area, like downtown Des Moines and stuff like that. And there are coffee shops that have cold brew, but it's still got a little bit of a bitter taste to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very smooth.
Yeah,
So
the more you know, I guess. I don't know, for whatever reason, like coffee flavored ice cream, coffee flavored. If it's cold and tastes like coffee, it's going to be a hard pass for me.
okay,
Yeah.
different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. So you know what? Actually, I going off the show notes, we had a different icebreaker, but I think ice breaking cold brew coffee is just fine. So we'll go ahead and play that intro music. Or not. Technical difficulties. Welcome back to episode number 13 of the Pandemic Guitar Podcast. As always, I'm here. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Tim. And on the other microphone is the guy that has all the knowledge, my dad, and the other host of Pandemic Guitar Podcast. That is Rick.
How you doing, everybody? Glad to be here.
Unfortunately, Amanda couldn't be here this episode. She's feeling a little under the weather, so hopefully she feels better soon and she'll be back on the next episode. That's what we're hoping for anyway.
Yep, I hope so.
So nobody likes to feel sick and under the weather. So I feel bad because here we are.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around lately. Everybody where I work is, well, some of the people have been getting sick, and
Yeah.
I've been, knock wood, I've been staying away from it. So I've been doing pretty good.
Yeah. Luckily, everybody in my office is, I mean, we're all in one big gigantic office, like a cubicle farm, but luckily we're spread out enough that nobody's sitting right on top of another person. And yeah, you hear the sniffles and the coughs all day long, and you're just like trying to protect yourself from it. I'm like, I don't want to get sick.
Yeah, I know. I don't blame you. I just don't like feeling under the weather. I mean, it's you're unproductive. You don't get anything done. You just don't feel good, but you have to relax and rest and stuff
Mm-hmm.
and drink plenty of liquids.
Yep.
So
But you would almost think that I was sick because I've been working my rear off and trying to get a bunch of stuff done, and I went to bed last night and I just said to myself, I'm turning off my alarms and I'm sleeping in. I'm going to get as much sleep as I possibly can, and must have worked because I feel good. I feel rejuvenated.
wow, not me. I guess I went to bed probably around 10 o'clock, and
Yeah.
I woke up at 5:30, and I just wake up every morning at 5:30. I don't know why. Sometimes I go back to sleep, but other times I stay awake, and I can't go back to sleep. So
That's the generation gap, I think, because I do not get up at 5:30 unless by some miracle I'm just up. There's no way I'm getting up that early.
true, true. But I like getting things done before daylight, and at least I can start on stuff.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm very fortunate now that I work closer to home. I literally roll out of bed, brush my teeth, start my car, let it warm up, and 15 minutes later, I'm out the door driving to work.
Now, I can't do that. I gotta have a cup of coffee. I gotta relax a little bit, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, and then out the door I go if I need be. But that's just the way I am, I guess.
Yeah, I wish I was that way, but not going to happen. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into, the show, I guess. I'm going to call it The Podcaster's Dozen, kind of a spin-off on The Baker's Dozen, which is, I believe, 13.
Correct.
I hope I'm getting that right.
You are.
Otherwise, it's a silly name, doesn't make sense, and we just need to quit now. So we did have somebody, and we know that person really well, reach out to us on Instagram after, I believe it was the last episode. It was when I was talking about or we were all talking about, I should say, I cannot buy another guitar for a little under a year now because I bought the Mitchell, and the wife said, all right, you can't even ask me for a year.
True.
And I'm like, you know how hard this is going to be, right? But I'm going to try. I'm going to try real hard. So anyway, somebody reached out to us on Instagram and said, well, you can't buy a new guitar, but what if you buy all the parts and put it together yourself? And then he, of course, hashtagged loopholes, which I absolutely loved. That was a great use of a hashtag.
And a loophole it is. I like that too.
Unfortunately, when I got that message, I was laughing so hard. The wife is like, what's so funny? And I told her, and she just shook her head. She's like, yeah, that does not work.
Oh, it works. It'll work for me.
Yeah.
I'll just go out and buy a set. Well, actually, I don't have to buy the pickups. I just wind them.
Right.
I wind them myself, and then what I can do, I got the parts for the winding process and the wire and everything like that. So I just wind them myself, and I just have to go out and buy a pick guard and, a body and a neck and, and go from there.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I really think that if I were to stumble upon a really good deal, like a deal that you just can't pass up, almost like the Mitchell,
Right.
I think I could probably figure out a way to talk her into letting me get it. But I think her thing is that I was just constantly, like, I was on Facebook Marketplace every day looking what's out there, trying to find a steal. And I think she was just tired of it. She's like, here, okay, go buy one and shut up for a while.
There you go. I like that. Is that a loophole?
I don't know. But I did get that guitar rack from you and Mom for Christmas, and I have that in the living room, and I have 4 guitars on it. And every day when I sit down and I just tinker around a little bit, I make sure that every day I'm playing with at least 1 or 2, and I'm alternating to say, I do play all of these.
Yep. And practice makes perfect, as they say.
Yes, it does. And, I will say that I am kind of stuck in a rut again where I have a few licks that I really like the sound of. I really like toying around with and trying to play around and see how I can tweak it. And last night I was playing around, and it was like, I actually was like, wow, I felt like I was progressing. Like, when you can actually hit a nice little lick and not even look at your fingers, I was like, all right.
Yep, that's, what do they call that?
A miracle.
No, muscle memory. That's what it is, muscle memory.
Yeah, so I'm starting to get that. But, anyway, I don't know. I just, I like it. I enjoy it. I need to find another lick or 2 or something to sneak into the catalog. I think that's the professional term for it.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. It's just, you pick it up. You play a few things. And like I've been playing the acoustic guitar quite a bit.
Right. So, how's that turning out? Because I know you were kind of playing around with it, trying to change the setup or something.
Yes, and I got the setup. Matter of fact, as of this morning, I got the setup really, really nice.
Ooh.
The strings are like about, I think they're about 3/32 off the fretboard, and which is really, I got them really nice. No fret buzz, no nothing on it. It does play nice. So big difference over when I first got it. Well, so it just takes time.
That's cool. I would never have thought that you could really make that much of a difference on acoustic just because the way they're built and everything like that. But if you
Oh,
made that kind of a difference on that Ibanez, I might have to bring over my Fender and maybe see if we can get it cleaned up a little bit.
yeah, that's no problem. I wish. Now, here, I've been doing some research, and I did find there is a manufacturer out there that does make an adjustable saddle, and I didn't know that.
Hmm.
So they have two screws on each side of the ivory or synthetic plastic piece on the saddle there, and it will adjust either side of the bridge up and down, the low E, the high E, up and down.
I would imagine that you would have to also put some sort of reinforcement bracing inside the body.
Well, there is this wood underneath the bridge. I mean, it just doesn't sit on top of the soundboard there.
I don't know how that would work. To me, it's because I mean, yes, there's wood underneath there,
Hmm.
but to make it stronger. Well, okay, here's the question: are you actually gluing the base down like it is originally, and then you're putting the two adjustment studs in, or is the whole
No,
thing now held by just those two studs?
okay. What the way it works is the bridge. You got to remember the bridge is that piece that is actually glued to the top of the acoustic guitar.
Right.
Then the white piece, which is the saddle,
Okay.
it's only a thin piece that holds the strings in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that has a set screw on each side. There is also a manufacturer that does make individual strings that have adjustments on it. So what it is, it's not the bridge, it's the actual saddle.
Oh, and
So,
yep, and that's where I was getting confused. I was thinking you were talking about the entire wood piece that gets glued onto the body, that whole thing. I thought that's what you were talking about. You're just talking
right,
about the piece of plastic or bone or whatever material it is that the strings actually sit on.
that is correct. Yes,
Oh.
there's a few manufacturers out there. One of them makes where the strings individually adjust up and down, like on a Stratocaster, the floating tremolo type
Hmm.
thing. And then there's also a manufacturer that makes something where the bone or the synthetic ivory, I'm going to call it, which is hard plastic, where they have two screws, one screw on each side, the low E and the high E, that allows each side to move up and down. That sort of impressed me because I didn't realize that that was a thing until I started doing some research about it and found out,
Yeah,
hey,
that I would never have thought unless I happened to go into a store and see one on the shelf and be like, "Oh, well, that's weird. That's different." Would never
right.
have even thought to do the research to discover that.
Well, you know what happens when you have an adjustable bridge, right?
You can adjust it.
No, no, no. I mean, on an acoustic guitar, because you have an Ibanez in your closet there, that the bridge came off.
Yeah, but the top
Right. It's separated from the top.
of is like warped. Like the
Yes.
where the bridge sits, it is
Yeah.
popped up. So now the top of that acoustic, and it's actually still out in my garage.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's now kind of got a bubble. It's almost kind of like those Gibson bodies that kind of like bubble up.
Like a Les Paul
Yeah, 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 yeah.
or 335.
Yep, because I tried to glue it back in place, and I'm
Right.
like, how the heck is this thing? How did this ever sit here? Because there's that bubble there because the top of the acoustic is popped up. Now that saddle,
Is the bridge.
the bridge, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
it won't sit flat, and so
Okay.
therefore I can't get a solid bond. And as soon as you put pressure back on it, that glue just breaks.
Right. Because first of all, you got to get all the glue off there. All the old glue has got to come off.
Right, which I did. I cleaned it up
Right.
really well. Took forever too.
Yeah. You're going to have to take the dental mirrors
Mm-hmm.
that they have. They sell them for automobile too.
Oh
And
yeah.
I have a big one. It's probably about 4 inches in size.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in the sound hole and and use a flashlight. Take a look at the bracing where the bridge is. I think you're going to find out where the bracing is either come loose or something like that because it should not it should not have a bow in the top like that.
Well, and I discovered that, and my thought process was, well, we'll just take the top off and we'll see if we can't fix it. And obviously, I haven't done anything with it yet. That's probably going to be a project that is like the springtime, summertime because it's
Right.
cold out. But you actually told me, no, don't do that because of the neck. Flip it over and go in from the bottom or the backside of the acoustic. And I was like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's two ways of doing it. I mean, you can remove the neck. The neck is a little harder to remove. And the way the neck is removed is there's two things you need. And one of them is you need are you familiar with the dipsticks the heating dipsticks you use for your car oil?
No,
You know,
I mean, I'm sure that I've seen them on like YouTube videos, not working on acoustics, but I've seen people like remove Les Paul necks and stuff like that.
right. Yeah, and you can do it a few different ways. They sell a thing that you can actually it's a small thin, it's almost the thickness of like a finishing nail, and it's heated, and you can slide it between the body and the neck, the heel of the neck there,
Hmm.
and heat up the glue, and then you can also put an iron on the fretboard above the soundboard, and of course it can't be too hot, but you loosen up the glue and you can slide it out of there because the manufacturers usually use a dovetail type joint there, so it has to be slid out, or you could do it the other way. You can remove the back.
Yeah, and I think that that's the way I'm going to do it is remove the back and work from that side because never removing a neck like that before, I'm almost guaranteed I'm going to personally ruin it. If I don't ruin it, I'll probably just get impatient and say, forget
You can always send it my way. I can always fix it and send it back to you.
it. Well, if we're going to
Yeah.
do that, though, I'll probably have to spend some time over there with you because I do want to learn how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I never removed the neck on an acoustic before, but I have removed the neck on, like Les Pauls and SGs and stuff like that. I've also fixed a lot of headstock brakes too.
Right.
And that's another thing with that type of angle of the neck. So angle of the headstock.
We found on the lines one time a Les Paul with a broken headstock, or it was broken right at the neck headstock, and it was
Right.
super cheap. And I was
Yep.
like, "Hey, look at this!" And you're like, "Yeah, but that's a pretty intensive repair."
It is. Well, it depends. Okay. If the neck is split, yes, it is.
Yeah,
If it's just a headstock, it has to be, you have to go in and you have to put it back on. And then what I do is I'd have to make up a jig. I had one. I don't know where it went,
sure.
but for my router, and I have to cut two slices in the back of the neck, and then you put two wooden dowels, oak or mahogany back in there, and then sand it all down, glue it and sand it all down, and finish it. And then after it's done, you can't even when I get done with it, you can't even tell that there was a break there. You'll see the different wood. You'll see the different like the biscuits there, the different grain in the wood, but
Sure.
you won't. You won't be able to notice it.
Right. But it's fixed. You know,
Yes.
it's kind of a cool thing. This is what interests me about it so much is a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people. I'm sure that if it's a more expensive high-end guitar, people are going to figure out a way to fix it, or they're going to realize that it still has value even though it's broken, right? Somebody's
Right.
going to pay for it, somebody's going to fix it. But what I like, because I obviously my bank account says you really like lower or more affordable guitars. What I see is people, they'll break it or it just doesn't play right or whatever. Well, it's not a hard financial hit for them, so they'll just throw it away. They'll either
Right.
throw it in the garbage or they'll throw it on whatever online resale site for dirt cheap. And
Right.
so being able to work on guitars and fix them, that's really cool to me, because like I said, if I can find somebody who's, I don't know, maybe the pickups, there's no sound coming out of this Squire Strat. So they're just going to throw it away because it's broken. It's not worth fixing.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
if you know how to, that's an easy fix. We can just buy new pickups or we can just buy a whole new pick guard, swap it out. Voila. You've got a perfectly fine instrument. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Usually in those situations, the pickups don't usually go. It's the jack. The jack loosens up and
Mm-hmm.
the wires get pulled and twisted, and people try to tighten it up and don't have the right tools or something like that. So, and of course they damage some of the wiring inside. I shouldn't say damage it, but they move the wiring inside, which then breaks it, or like what I had with the project guitar there. It's like all they did was they didn't know how to solder, so we just taken wire and just wrapped the wire around the post.
Right. And just for everybody's knowledge, the project guitar has now been named Pappy Van Project.
Pappy Van Project?
That's its name, Pappy Van Project.
Okay. How did that come about?
I don't know. Just popped in my head. I'm like, that works.
Okay. Cool.
So let's talk a little bit about some changes in the recent past. Since I think basically the beginning of January, we've lost too many people in the music world.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad. Bad year, I guess, for musicians.
And we're not even through the first month.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, we can just name 4 of them off the top of our heads, but.
Well, 3 of them. One of them is more just known in the music world because of their relation to other people.
That's true. Yeah. But think about this is even though those people are famous and stuff, there's a lot of people that are in the music industry that really never make the fame. They may gig in bars and small venues and stuff like that. And, they're gone too, I mean, it just, it means a lot to keeping the music industry going and stuff like that. And I don't mean the entire music industry. I'm just talking about, playing guitar and, the musicians basically is what I'm talking about.
And that's a valid point too, because if you've got these super famous people, they're almost always going to make the headlines. Anytime somebody super famous, well-known, passes away, yep, absolutely, they're going to hit the headlines. But there are a lot of great musicians out there that don't have that fame.
Right.
Instead of playing a venue of 5,000 plus, maybe their venue is 300 people.
True. But you know what? It brings up another interesting fact is that if you look at all the, like, to give you an example, all the musicians that are famous that have passed away, their siblings, son, daughter, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
either never really made it or they made it for a little bit and they dropped off the face of the earth. You don't hear from them anymore. I mean, a good one is, I would think, is like John Lennon. I mean, when he passed away, then all of a sudden you seen his son come out and he came out with a few good songs or maybe 2 or 3. I don't remember how many. And then all of a sudden you don't see him anymore,
Well, what about
Really?
Van Halen?
Eddie Van Halen.
And his Eddie Van Halen, and then his son Wolfgang.
Okay.
Like Wolfgang is like, to me, he's only now starting to gain popularity and a following,
right,
for whatever reason. I could be wrong. I'm just saying from my perception.
right.
I feel like he's just starting to gain a following because for me, it's like, yes, I remember listening to Van Halen, in the 90s, and then I haven't listened to him forever. Now I listen to Van Halen all the time.
Yep.
And so now I'm starting to see his son come up, but at the same time, that is a hard shadow to get out of.
Right. You mean the shoes are hard to fill.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. I mean,
yeah,
he's good.
Right. But the thing is that what a lot of people expect is that the children will be of the same caliber as the father or the mother or something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of cases, it's not the way it is. They come up with their own styles and do different things,
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, you almost expect, if you're the son of this famous person, I should be able to listen to your album and I shouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right. No way. It's going to be different.
So some of these famous people, I'll say famous because they did hit the headlines. And most people, if you're following the news or music, you probably already know these names. But these are names that I've heard of. I've heard of them all, but I'm not really super familiar with a lot of their work. So I'm going to rely on you to tell me some information about these people. Sound fair?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
What information I know. I mean, I don't follow everybody, but...
Okay, so the first one that you reached out to me, and I think I heard this one about the same time that you did, but you reached out to me and you're like, "Did you hear about this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And that is Jeff Beck.
Yes, unbelievable, unbelievable guitarist. I think one of his really big hits. Well, I mean, he goes back to he goes back a long time when he played. I think he played with Eric Clapton. But one of his famous songs that I remember is "We Ended as Lovers," and that was a really good song. It's all instrumental, but the way he did it is just it's just great. I mean, you got to listen to it.
Yeah, and I remember, I think I can't remember which book it is because this is something that I've been trying to. I don't read a whole lot. I don't read as much as I should, but I'm
Right.
trying to do a little bit more reading, and I decided that I'm going to start reading biographies, autobiographies. I want to learn more about musicians that I grew up with and stuff like that. So I don't know which book it is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but if I remember correctly, I saw his name associated with the Yardbirds.
Yep.
Okay.
That goes back. That goes back a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's,
don't even know if I've listened to any of the. I'm sure I've heard it, but I don't remember
Yeah.
hearing any of their music.
Jeff Beck goes back to the Eric Clapton, Stevie Winwood. I'm trying to think of some of the other names off the top of my head, and of course, Mental Block. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean that's back in the '60s that the Yardbirds were starting to gain fame.
So one of the things that again, we have so many conversations and we talk about so many things. Sometimes the water gets a little muddy. But was
Sure.
he the guitarist that is really hard to replicate because he just like everything is with the whammy bar?
Yes.
Okay.
Back along when he did the song "We Ended as Lovers," he used the Les Paul, I believe. I'm not 100% sure of that. The Les Paul is depicted on the album cover, but he might have used a Strat. But later on he used the Strat just totally, and he used the whammy bar on the Strat all the time, and he's just very extremely difficult to replicate any of his work.
Yeah, and I actually started trying to, after you said that, I started looking online, and I don't remember if I found one of him playing, but I did find a lot of people that were trying to do kind of like a pay tribute to Jeff Beck by trying to like play some of his music and stuff. And I did see
Right.
a lot of people, they're just like like everything. It's like 100% using the whammy bar for everything. And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he mastered it. I mean, he was the master at the whammy bar. I mean, just the stuff, the music that he created, and the vibrato and the way he used it. It's just remarkable.
So as we go through these,
Yeah.
I've went out and I've tried to find a trivia question on each one just to have a
Okay.
little fun. But do you know when Jeff Beck's last album was released?
No, I do not.
It was last year, July 15th, 2022. The album's name was 18. And on that album, he did that album with another famous person that everybody knows. So I'm going to give you A, B, or C and see if you can figure out or guess which famous person was on this album.
Why don't you tell me what A, B, and C is? Because I would pick D.
A, Johnny Depp. B,
Okay.
Willie Nelson. Or C, Mike Rowe.
Okay. Well, C is definitely out. That's
Mike Rowe is a
I know he does.
classically trained opera
I know.
singer.
I understand that, but I think that C would be definitely out, and
All right.
also B would be out too.
Really? You don't think Willie Nelson and Jeff Beck would do a collaboration?
I don't know how that would work. I mean,
I don't know either.
Trigger, which is Willie Nelson's guitar, may fall apart.
There's no whammy bar on Trigger.
No whammy bar on there. Yeah.
All right.
I would say it's A, Johnny Depp, because he
Okay.
did have a band with Johnny Depp.
Oh, see, I didn't know that they had a band together. I know that Johnny Depp has been seen a lot lately online playing music.
Yes, I think I don't know if they were really considered a band, but they played together quite a bit. So I would say Johnny Depp would probably be the answer there.
Well, using the process of elimination, you are
Uh-huh.
correct. It was Johnny Depp.
Okay, ding, one for me.
Yeah, where's my sound effect for that? Let's move on to the next person. Now, the next person I don't know anything about other than she is the daughter of a really famous musician, singer from before my time.
Yep.
So that is Lisa Marie Presley. Was she a musician at all? I mean, I have to imagine she at least sang.
Yes, I think she was just a singer. I'm not 100% sure. I really don't know too much about her. I know that she did some. If you look online, she did some videos where she had some. Her father would sing, and then she would sing. It was sort of like a double.
A
He
duet.
dubbed it. Yeah, I know she did stuff like that. I don't know if she played guitar. I don't know if she played an instrument or what have you. I do know she sings. That's all I know about her, really. Very, very little.
Let me ask you the trivia question first
Okay,
before
go ahead.
I talk my point. So, how many siblings does Lisa Marie Presley have? Now, you can choose
Okay.
between A, which is 3 siblings, B, which is 2 siblings, or C, 0 siblings.
Okay. So I believe she was in her 50s when she passed away.
Okay.
Not sure of the age.
Here,
53.
let me do some research on the fly on that one. She was 54 years old.
Okay. I would say that C is probably out. I think A would be out. I think it would probably be 2, which would be B. But that's just that's a guesstimate. So my answer would be B, 2, I would say.
From Wikipedia, it says Lisa Marie Presley was an American singer and songwriter. She was the only child of singer and actor Elvis Presley and actress Priscilla Presley.
Ah.
I'm going to go with 0.
Okay. Well,
But where I was going with my point is that when you have, Elvis, who's the famous singer, songwriter, musician, and then there's a child, and then I don't know if she got married and had children and so on and so forth, but it's almost kind of like those legacies, those legends over time slowly fade away as people pass.
right.
I guess
Right.
that's kind of where I was going with it.
Okay. So what's the correct answer? 0?
The correct answer, we're going to go with C, 0. And
Okay.
if we're
So
completely wrong and you're listening to this and you are an Elvis Presley fan, whatever, and you know the real answer, I guess go ahead and let us know. But just trying to have fun in conversation here.
okay.
So let's move on to the next musician, Robbie Bachman.
Robbie Bachman, BTO. Yeah, that's where he was famous for. Bachman Turner Overdrive. I really liked that while I was growing up. I really liked that band. He was I believe he was the drummer, and he created quite a few songs with Mr. Turner, and those songs went to the top 10 or top 40, I should say, in the United States. In Canada it was top 10, I believe, or something like that, just off of memory.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Robbie Bachman at all. I've actually never had the name, and I had to kind of do a little bit of Googling. And, it sounds like he had a heck of a
Yep.
career. He was a drummer.
Yeah. He the music is very good. I really liked it. Them and I really liked also the other band I really liked was Boston too.
Was he in
So-
Boston?
No, he wasn't. But I'm just saying is that another band that I like was Boston. I just happened to listen to BTO and Bachman Turner Overdrive, and Boston were the 2 groups that I just got into for a while, and I guess maybe a year or 2, and then sort of got out of it. And it's a phase. You hear something,
Sure.
you like it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Then you start playing the songs a little bit, start learning different things, and you say, I'm going on to something else.
So is this the Bachman Turner Overdrive BTO? This is the name of like the band that he played in?
Yes, yeah, BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive. Yeah, Bachman and Turner were the 2 people, and I don't know why it called it Overdrive, but
Yeah, I don't know. He said when Brave Belt, I assume.
Wasn't that his original band?
Oh, that wasn't that. So Brave Belt was. Oh, all right. So other members of Brave Belt were Chad Allen and Fred Turner
Right.
in 1972. Another Bachman brother, Tim, joined Brave Belt after the
Right.
departure of Allen, whoever Allan. When Brave Belt changed their name to Bachman Turner Overdrive BTO in 1973, Robbie was credited with designing the BTO
Right.
gear logo. And I'm just jumping into my favorite music streaming platform here, and I'm just gonna see if they have.
Oh, they have to.
Oh, they sure do. Yeah, I just typed in BACHM, and they popped right up on the top of my chart. So I'm
Yep.
gonna give that a listen.
Oh yeah, good stuff. It's all over now, but it's when they were going strong, it was they had some really good tunes out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna check them out.
Okay,
I got a trivia question.
sure, go ahead.
All right, so this one is: what year was Robbie Bachman born? A, 1953, B, 1956, or C, 1958?
Well,
That one's really tricky because they're so close together.
right, there's in 58. I'm just trying to think of how old he would be. I would have to say 58 and 56. Could be 56, but I want to say 53. I'm going to say 1A.
So he was 69 years old when he passed.
Okay, so that would put him at 53.
Yep, that's correct. 1953. He was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that and I kind of chuckled to myself a little bit behind the scenes because there's so many famous people in that Americans recognize as super famous people, and we don't even realize they're all Canadian.
Yeah, either that or English.
So
Overseas, over the pond, as they say.
right, yeah. So, but there's a lot of people, especially for me, that I've like, oh, this person's funny, this person's a great actor, actress, this person's a great musician, and then I find out they were all born in Canada. So I have decided that I am going to increase my weekly intake of syrup,
There you go.
and that's how I'm going to get better.
Maple syrup, right?
That's and I'm going to watch more hockey.
There you
Yep.
go.
And I too will become great and famous.
There you go. I like that philosophy.
All right, let's move on to our fourth and final unfortunate passing so far of this year, and that is David Crosby. Everybody knows Crosby from Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
That's correct.
But he's also played in other bands,
He has.
and one of those bands is, and this is one that he actually was part of forming. Okay,
Right.
It would either, and I'm just going to start with the trivia before we talk a little bit about it. Is A, Yardbirds, B,
Okay.
Birds,
Hmm.
or C, the White Stripes?
Well, I would go with. I know it's not A. Okay, because I know
Okay.
the Yardbirds are Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Stevie Winwood, and a few others. I don't know anything about White Stripes. But the Birds sound familiar, so I want to say B, the Birds.
Yep, you are correct. It is the Birds. I hope it's Birds, or it's BYRDS. So it's Birds with the Y instead of an I guess.
Okay.
The White Stripes, that is Jack White.
Jack White. That's it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So the White Stripes is Jack White.
Okay.
White Stripe. I should have. Yeah. For some reason, between Jeff Black, Jack White, like I just.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I don't want to get them confused, but yeah. So I know that I've heard some Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Not a lot,
Oh, yeah.
but I've heard some.
A lot of good music. Very influential in the music that they played and the gigs that they did, and they just created a lot of stuff out there that was that everybody liked. He played an acoustic guitar a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
Who was it that I saw? Styx. When I went to go see Styx, they had a couple songs where their guitarist came out and played acoustic guitar. I kind of liked that.
right.
It was different. Kind of instead of the loud, just in your face drums and everything, comes out and does an acoustic ballad. I liked that.
Sure. Yeah.
But the thing I guess is that there's just four people that we're tracking, famous people that have inspired and influenced music and musicians for many many years that have recently passed, and it's kind of crazy. I kind of hope it just stops for a while.
Yeah, I hope so too.
You get a lot of these guys and maybe even gals, that grew up in an era, if the
Era.
grew up in a time,
Yeah.
where I don't know. I want to say there weren't as many rules as there are today.
True.
So yeah, I mean they're passing away in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
They're not making it to 100 like Betty White and some of these others that are out there.
That is true. Yeah. But
So hopefully we don't have to have half of an episode or better talking or remembering some of the artists that have passed. I think it's pretty important to do so when it unfortunately does happen. But I would say what I'm going to do, just to kind of pay a little bit of respect, I'm going to go out and listen to some of this music because it's stuff that I have either not heard before or stuff that I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage everybody to do the same. But make sure you do that after you listen to all 13 episodes of the Pandemic Guitar Podcast.
sounds good. It's a good plug.
Yeah, no, horrible plug. Anyway, we got a few minutes left of this episode, so let's change the subject one more time. I just kind of wanted to talk about the last 10 episodes and kind of some of the struggles and things that we've kind of found and discovered over that time, because we have a lot of great ideas, a lot of things that I think, at least I know I would want to do going forward.
Okay.
I know that when it took us a little bit longer to get this whole thing going, and it's been kind of a learning curve, making sure that we get, all the audio set up correctly and everything like that. And I think the biggest thing that happened audio wise is that I was originally using GarageBand.
Yeah.
And I went from GarageBand to Logic.
Right.
And Logic, I'll just tell you right now, I'm glad that you said jump into Logic, because that is super awesome compared to GarageBand.
Right.
So much more you can do, super easy. But there's a lot in there that also I look at and I see and I'm like, ooh, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
But quickly what we found out was that your kilohertz where you record could be different.
Yeah.
So I think you were recording at like 48 and I was recording at 44.
0.1.
And, Amanda jumped on, and now you're adding a third track to edit.
Right.
We learned, it took us a little bit to figure it out, but yeah, all of a sudden you take all of your audio, you bring it together, and you're trying to chop it up and edit it and bring it down into, about an hour-long episode. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all of our tracks are just constantly getting out of alignment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that was the biggest headache that I had during this whole process, was just figuring out, okay, we need to take a few minutes before we start and just make sure that we all have our settings set correctly.
Right. Yeah. And the 44-100, the problem with that, it's basically a CD type. It's made for creating CDs, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just not enough headroom in there. The 4800 allows more headroom in the top of it, so you can process things a little bit easier and a lot better. So that was the way we decided to go. So
I almost don't even, I don't know if you've been paying attention.
Okay.
I almost don't even want to tell you. You originally were on a different computer than what you are now.
Yes.
You were on I believe it was a 2011 Mac Mini.
Yes.
Which, I'm a Mac guy. Kudos to Mac for making your products just last forever.
Yeah.
And it was time to upgrade that Mac Mini, and you got a MacBook Pro.
Yep, I did.
Same one I have. I love mine.
Mm-hmm.
Battery lasts forever. The display quality is absolutely amazing. Super lightweight, super powerful. I haven't been able to find anything yet that I can throw at it that it even cares about. It just does. It's a
Yep,
workhorse,
just works.
and I can travel with it.
Yep.
Just yesterday or the day before, or about a week ago, when this airs, Apple just brought or introduced their brand new Mac Minis,
Okay.
and they start out at $599.
What?
Yeah, it's either $599 or $699. Now, of course, that's their bottom of the line, low hard drive space, low memory.
Right.
But yeah, let me bring that up real quick.
Are they allowing you to change out the drives or the
No, I can't imagine.
SSD cards? Because that's what I liked about mine.
The low end model for $599
Right.
has an 8 gig of memory and 256 gig internal SSD storage.
Which is not. It's
Yeah.
it's okay. It's
But it's got the new M2 processor.
right.
If you bump to the next model, that's still 8 gig of memory with a 512 gig internal hard drive.
Right.
That's $799.
Right.
Not bad. But now if you want to jump up to the next one where you get 16 gig of memory and 512 gig of storage,
Okay.
$1,300.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's getting up there.
Don't get me wrong, you go from an 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU
Right.
to a 10-core CPU, 16-core GPU. So obviously your processor there is your workhorse. You got the 16 gig of memory, but come on, only 512 gig of storage?
Yeah. I just wish they would go back to where they allowed you to upgrade the storage and upgrade the memory on it because
You know, here's my thing with that is that when Mac was using the Intel chips, I think you could get away with that. I think the Intel chip is going to be a little bit more forgiving on the hardware that you put into the machine.
Yeah.
I just have that feeling that Apple silicon is going to say, no, I will only accept this hard drive that is somehow digitally stamped from the manufacturer.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
This memory. I don't know. It's brand new. I don't know a whole lot about it. But when I saw that they released the Mac Mini and they brought it back down closer to what that introductory price is supposed to be,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I want to tell you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm
So I
glad.
know you're a fan of the Mac Mini.
Yeah, I like the Mac Mini, but I purchased my Mac Mini for I think it was $450. I got it on sale.
Yeah, $500.
$500.
Yeah, because we bought our Mac Minis right around the same time.
Right. And then what I did was I went from it only had 8 gig of memory in it and it had a 550 gig hard drive in it. And I put a terabyte in there. It wasn't, terabyte SSD. I pulled that out and I also put in more memory. So I made it 16 gig and it worked flawlessly
It worked amazing
Yeah.
because I remember my Mac Mini, it was starting to get really slow and sluggish. And that's because the original hard drive was the disk and platter.
Right. Yeah.
But as soon as you throw a solid state in, it was like brand new.
I know. Yeah, that's what happened with me too. I had the old type of hard drive with the disk and platter, and then then I put the SSD in there, and it flew after that. And except for Mac saying, "Oh, we're not going to upgrade you anymore, software wise." It's still a good machine. I still have it sitting over here too. I haven't done anything with it, but
Mine is sitting here somewhere close by. And originally I was going to make it a file server.
right.
And I don't know. It's only 500 gig, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I'm like, oh, well, wait a second. I needed to run Windows Server with SQL Server on top of it for a class that I'm taking. I'm like, oh, that's got an Intel chip in it. I can do a virtual machine, install it, and use that.
Right.
Nope, won't work.
Really.
I don't know why. Every time I tried to install it, it would crash during the install, and so I took it and I just put it over here. I think I'm just gonna rip the hard drive out of it and bury it in the backyard.
Yeah.
And then we brought Amanda on, and that's been fun because Amanda again has one of the older family Mac laptops, and she just got upgraded because you got upgraded.
Yeah. I had actually it was your MacBook Air.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was. I think that was was it my 2019 or 2017? I can't remember. But yeah, I pawned that off to you, and you used it for a while, and then you upgraded and pawned it off to Amanda. So
Yeah. What I did was when you gave it to me, it only had 256 gig hard drive in it, SSD card.
no, I bet you it was a 128.
It was 128. I knew it was small, and
Yeah, because it was, that's the thing. When you go in to buy a new computer, you're like looking at the price tag, and you're like, no, I'll pass.
yeah, and what I did,
Or, yeah, I'll just get the base
the base
model.
model, yeah, and so what I did is I did some research on it because I did go out and they did have a place you could put a camera card in the side of it. So I
Yeah.
got it. I think it was a 256 gig card. It was okay. I mean, it did the job. It was I was running out of room with apps on it. So what I did was I started doing some research, and I found out that on that particular model, MacBook Air, or that particular year, I could get a 1 terabyte drive for it and
Hmm.
replace the drive that was in there, and that's what I did. So I had to buy an adapter, and I forgot what the adapter. It was cheap
Yeah.
compared to
I want
the
to say that was one of the few years that you could actually replace the internal hardware yourself.
yeah, the hard drive was just way too small. So I got the 1 terabyte drive, and then when I was looking at the MacBook Pro, or when we were looking at it, I had a choice because well, my MacBook Mini was no more upgrades on the I'm sorry, MacBook Mini. There were no more upgrades on
The Mac Mini.
Mac Mini, and
Yeah.
the only thing I had was the Air, and I'm like, okay, well, I do a lot of stuff with my Mac, and recording and stuff like that. So I decided that I talked to Mom, and I decided to get a MacBook Pro, and purchased a MacBook Pro, and then I sent Amanda home with the MacBook Air that I had. So now she's got it, and it'll last her a few more years before she has to get a new one.
Yeah, and so we just got to get that computer set up for her, and then she'll be upgraded to the point where she can actually receive software updates and so on and so forth.
Right,
But that obviously is going to be after she feels better. But let me ask you about this because just recently, I know that Best Buy is doing it,
right.
and I assume Apple's going to do it too. With the price of everything going up, and so on and so forth, now with the MacBooks, and I assume the Mac Pros and all the, I know for sure on the MacBooks. Now, instead of buying your computer, you can basically have a Mac and do the same thing that you've been doing with your iPhone for years. You just pay a monthly payment, and 2 years or 3 years, whatever the terms are, you just trade in your MacBook and you get a new model.
Right. Yeah, I know.
What do you think about that? Because I mean, it's like you think about this here, just out of curiosity. Let's just say it's 55 times 36 equals, now that's 1,980. So I imagine it's probably going to be about a competitive price. Maybe you save $1 if you rent it.
Sure.
But what do you think about that? What's your thoughts?
In my opinion, I don't like it. I know some of the guys at work do that with cell phones. They pay, and every, was it 24 months? Every 2 years they get a new
Hmm.
phone. They get the latest and greatest. And I'm like, but it's almost the same price if I buy it too. Because you trade in the phone, you get something for the phone when you trade it in, and then
Hmm.
you buy a new one and you just pay it off. So it's almost the same. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, here's my thing though. With my phone and my Apple Watch, I have an Apple Watch. I have the 6.
Right.
And I was like, man, the 8's out now, and I was like, maybe I should upgrade. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, there's not really that much of a difference between the 6 and the 8. I mean, I think it'll help me figure out when I'm about to menstruate, but that's about it.
Okay.
That's I can't figure out what else there is in a difference.
Yeah.
With my phones, for the longest time, I was a real big sucker for oh yeah, I'll just pay every month, and in 2 years I can just upgrade.
Right.
Well, now I've started to realize, because I buy, or my phone is the Pro Max with the not the highest amount of memory, but the second highest.
Right.
So it's almost their flagship model, basically, right?
Yeah.
That thing's going to last me 4 years.
Yep.
If something were to happen financially and you can't make a phone payment, what happens?
Yeah. You'll lose the phone.
Yeah, I mean, at best they're going to shut you off or something.
Right.
And that's what my fear would be with renting a laptop for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about it, but that's the way that everything is going, though.
Right.
You know.
Well, and once they get you on for 24 months, you're going to pay this much for your computer, this much for your phone, this much for your watch. And then they're going to bundle it with their car. And every 3 years, you just bring everything in and they give you it all new, if they ever do.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about the car when you just said it.
Yeah. Electric cars and electric guitars, one is not as cool as the other.
That's true.
So
that's true.
You're not. I think I'll stay away from the electric cars.
Yeah, I'm not. I just don't think they're developed yet enough. But that's only just my personal opinion.
Well, I think that they're making technology last longer than they used to, but I still don't think it's long enough. Like, I mean, you go out and I was talking to my buddy, and I don't know if we've mentioned it before, and I can cut this out later, but I was talking to him, and he's like, they bought a new Hyundai or whatever.
Right.
And for the first 2 years, they get this free app where they can remote start their car and do all this other stuff. And after that 2 years, now it's a monthly charge.
Right.
If you want to remote start your car, you will pay a monthly charge.
Right.
And I'm like, I'd go to Best Buy, have that ripped out, and put in an aftermarket and start my car whenever the heck I want it. Why would I want to give a manufacturer that much control?
Well, it's the same thing like anything else. They just want the maintenance. They want to hook you into paying the monthly maintenance on it, and the monthly subscription. Everything these days is trying to go to subscription. So
Yeah.
that's what they're trying to do is everything goes subscription, and you pay an arm and a leg for it, and they say,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you a thing. I had 2 or 3 subscriptions on my mobile phone, and they first came out with it. This was a few years ago. They came out with the subscription model, and then I got things from these. I think they were only. I want to say that it was only like $2 or $3 a month each one of them.
Sure.
It wasn't a lot. And what happened was I was like, okay. So I wrote the companies I sent the companies an email, and I said, hey, how many times are you going to come out with an update? And, we're going to do this every month, or we're going to do it every 2 months or every quarter. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, in that case, it might be worth it. Well, after a year went by, I didn't get any updates, and I just said cancel the subscriptions.
Right.
And that.
Well, and they make it hard to cancel subscriptions too.
Well, in the beginning, Apple did, but then I guess they fixed that all, and now you can cancel it.
No, Apple's good about it, but like for instance, you go to Planet Workout,
Right,
and you get a membership, and the only way you can cancel that membership is to go into the original building where you created your membership.
Okay.
And cancel it there. That's the only way to cancel it. Well, the problem is like you go and that building no longer exists.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yep.
Canceling that membership.
Yeah, I know.
And then you've got, these podcast analytic sites that they literally will just keep trying every 2 days. Oh, hey, your payment wasn't successful 2 days later. Oh, hey, your payment wasn't successful. Oh, hey. So I'm like, hey, stop trying to get your payment. I'm not exactly happy with what I was getting for the price. I don't want to renew.
Right.
And it's just so much of a pain. Like I want to go in, I want to hit cancel and be done.
Right. And you want to know something? I had trying to think of who I did have a problem with that one time. And I'm trying to think of the company. It was, I think it was Sirius.
Oh, they're notorious. Yeah.
And I was told, one of my friends told me that if you get it, because I was going to get one, and I still had the radio, that if I got one, that's weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say your camera just went
Yeah,
out.
and so did all my hard drives just ejected.
Uh-oh. Your audio's still coming through.
Yeah, but that means I'm not recording except for the backup.
Oh. It's funny because the entire show, we kind of hinted around to technical difficulties and everything like that. And what better way to end this show with yet another technical difficulty? And then we're just going to end it there. You can reach us on via email if you have any questions, anything like that, at pandemicguitar@icloud.com, or jump out to the old Instagrams and just look for our tag at Pandemic Guitar and send us a message. Give us a like, a heart, whatever it is, a follow. And yeah, we'll go from there. I don't know if you can still hear me, Rick, but if not, I'll catch you here in a couple weeks.